My friends, it is time to mix some paint. Today, we're talking about yellows, specifically granulating yellow. In a recent mix video, I received this request from Karen Irving, 7088. She said, "Great video, would love to mix a granulating yellow." That is exactly what we're going to do today. Now, if you know of another granulating yellow pigment that I do not mention, please drop it in the comments below because I would love to check out more of these. This week, it has really had me looking at my yellows in a way that I haven't necessarily done for a while because yellow is not a color that I usually gravitate towards a lot. I use it in mixing, but just yellow on its own, I don't know. I don't paint a lot of yellow. However, today we're looking at three pigments specifically that do some beautiful granulation. And I almost made a mistake again this week. My microphone still was muted. I don't know why, but it was. So anyways, I'm recording this for the second time now. So I've already started to swatch some of my colors. But today we have PY53, which has excellent light fast rating. My version is by Daniel Smith. It is Nickel Tight Knit Yellow. And again, that's PY53, this one right here. And then we have PY159, which is made by Schmincke. Now, it is one of only, in the Schmincke Super Granulating color set, there are actually only two of the super granulators that are a single pigment. They are both found in the Volcano set, and Volcano Yellow is one of them. It is PY159. It has a 5-star light fast rating. And my apologies, because in the last mix video, that is where we were working with Volcano Violet, and I kept mistakenly saying Volcano Red during the entire video. And yes, that was Volcano Red would just be PR108. And Volcano Yellow is PY159. Volcano Orange is the combination of the PY159 and the PR108. And then there was Volcano Violet, which I actually was mixing with last week. And anyways, I digress. I was so frustrated with myself that I did that. But, okay, next up we have PY42, which is Daniel Smith's Mars Yellow. Now, these were three granulating yellows that I had. I also have PY43. That's a granulator. That would be Goethite Brown Ochre, which is the one version I have by Daniel Smith. There's also you could use PY35, a cadmium yellow. That should granulate some. But if you can think of something else other than a PY42, a PY43, PY35, or this PY53 or PY159 that is a yellow PY pigment and granulating, please drop it in the comments below because I would love to explore even more granulating yellows. So let's talk about this week's mix. Again, we had the request from Karen for mixing a granulating yellow. Now, that wasn't specific other than the fact of it being yellow. I started with just swatching the colors like I did here. And just in these bigger swatches. So here is our PY53. You can see some of the granulation that's happening there. This is my Be Inspired watercolor paper. And here is the Schmincke's Volcano Yellow. And you can definitely see the granulation that happens in that color. And then I was considering what I was going to mix with these two, because I knew I was going to use these two. But once I mix these two, and I tried just a touch of the PY42. I had this really nice light version of yellow. And then I was like, but wait a minute. Can I get something that's bolder and brighter, kind of like these are, with still seeing the granulation? And so I tried PY150, which is this one, Nickel Azo Yellow. This is one of my Daniel Smith sticks that I put into half pans. I've shared with you guys that I do that. And you see it just kind of cut off the piece and it sticks up, pretty much fills the pan. That's how I use them sometimes. So I tried PY150 and I found that it really pushed to the outer edge. The PY150 pushed to that outer edge of the wash and gave me like a hard line that I wasn't really crazy about. But you can see the granulation there. And then I thought, what would that look like glazed over, say, like a red? So I used like the PV19, the quinacridone rose, which is not granulating. I was wondering if that would help it show up more. But you can see as I like went over that, it definitely, again, pushed that hard line to the outer edge. And of course, it mixed with a little bit of the PV19 that was below it. And you can see the granulation. So it absolutely could be used to glaze over. But I was not fond of the harder line of color that was much different in the outer edges of the washes. I just wasn't really a fan, and that's why we didn't use that as our primary mix for this week. But if this is one that interests you, I encourage you. Those were the pigments that I used. I started with PY53, then added the PY159, and to that I added the PY150. So these are not in order of which pigment I used most. It was just which one I wrote down first. I also tried this one, which I think is a really beautiful pale yellow and definitely has some granulation going on there. And that was the PY53, PY159, and PW6:1. So buff titanium. So I added a little white in there because, you know, why not give it a try? I didn't use this because, again, it was a white and I just wanted to mix a yellow. It still is very much yellow. And when I mixed the PY53, PY159, and PY42, our colors for this week, when I did that here, it was a beautiful pale yellow. And I thought, wow, that kind of actually looks almost like Naples yellow-like. And so then, of course, I had to go grab some of the Naples yellows that I have. The brand new Core Naples Yellow, which is the single pigment PBR24. That has beautiful granulation in it as well. And then I grabbed the Da Vinci Naples Yellow, which for them is PY35 and PY42. So 2 granulating pigments, but if you look at their version, it doesn't granulate so much. And if you look at this version in the middle, these are really, really close. There's a little bit more pigment in my wash here, but looking at these in person, these are actually so close in color that we've almost mixed a dupe for the Core Naples Yellow. Why do we need 3 pigments instead of 1? We don't, okay? We don't. If you don't have this pigment, but you do have these pigments, that's when you would want to give it a try. I, again, was just trying to see if I could achieve our request for a great, to see a mix, right, try again, just to mix a granulating yellow. And yeah, so I decided to go with a yellow that looks kind of like Naples yellow. So Karen, if you're watching, I hope you appreciate this. And if you wanted something that was more in like the brighter yellows, here are some other options for you. I hope you'll give these a try if you have these pigments. Even try mixing, you know, maybe just 2 and see how that goes. But for today, I like to give all of the channel members and super fans and patrons a challenge by combining, you know, say 2 or 3 pigments, usually 3 pigments, for it to be most challenging for them to try to guess it. And have they guessed it? Not yet, but we will see, because I've actually posted this picture already before I'm recording the video. So we will see. We will see if they can guess these three. They came really close last week, almost had it. We'll see if they can guess this week's mix. If that's something you'd like to join in on, super fans and above here on YouTube, if you're a channel member, have access to Discord and that game. So I definitely invite you to come and play along with us every Sunday and see if you can guess it before the video comes out on Monday. But now let's go ahead and get to mixing so you can see how we created this. I'm going to call it a super granulating yellow because, like Schminke super granulating colors, usually it is 2 or more granulating pigments, which is definitely what we have here. So we're going to call it a super granulating yellow. Okay, I don't know what has set Tuka off, but she is down there just carrying on. So here are our 3 mixtures. I don't know why there is a line out to the edge of these. I can only guess that maybe I had something else in my brush when I laid down that water, because yeah, those don't normally have this like halo of darker around them. You can see on this page when I did them, there's the PY53. There's none of that on here. And this one here, when I did this swatch, there's none of that on here either. That I had pulled out some extra water. Again, probably dirty water, because they don't normally do that. And I can swatch them on this paper again to show you that is not what they normally do. So this is our PY53, and it's hard with the light yellow like this because it's hard to actually see the granulation in it, but it is a beautifully granulating color. Yeah, my water's just dirty. I think that's probably what caused it. Trying to stick more to my clean water. So I'll just leave that nice wet wash there. And then this would be our PY159. That's the Schminke Volcano Yellow. And of course, PY42, my version is the Mars Yellow, but Daniel Smith has quite a few PY42s and versions of PY43. So just to let you know which version I am using, because I'm sure they all vary slightly in hue. Otherwise, you know, why make so many of them? So yeah. And that's also part of the reason why I always have, when we play Guess the Mix, everyone try to, not only do they have to guess the color, but they have to guess the color name. So they have to guess the pigment, but they also have to guess the actual color name. And that's very important because knowing that I'm using Mars Yellow is going to definitely be a different hue than, say, if I used like the golden ochre or, you know, whatever. All right, so I'm just going to let those kind of do their thing, and we'll take another look at these real quick before we're done. All right, so let's see them together. Right, we're going to create our mix. And I didn't set out to mix, you know, a dupe or something that looks like the core Naples Yellow, which is this right here. But I will show them to you side by side. So let me I'm just going to put right here the core Naples Yellow. Right, so it's not too far off from the PY42, but it definitely looks like it has brighter yellow undertones. And this is a brown pigment though. It's PBR 24. All right, so just giving that plenty of water so it'll do its granulating, and you can see that. It ends up looking almost just like this color. Again, didn't set out with the goal to create this. The only goal was to create a granulating yellow that I thought, oh, I would use that in paintings. So we're going to start, and I'll just clean this up so you guys actually see what I am doing the mixing, how I am mixing. And this is one of my Meeden ceramic palettes. Links to everything will be in the description below. I'm using my Princeton Velvet Touch size 10 round today. All right, so PY53, and to that we are adding our PY159. And then our PY42. Okay, so we're going to blend these all together. And these look quite similar. I'm going to turn this so I can start close to my mix. They look quite similar to our version from Core. I probably could have used a little bit more of the PY42 to get that looking just like it. It isn't that always the way? Like the first round of the mix, something's usually just slightly off. That looks a little closer. I'm just going to go ahead and go right over like I've done in the past. Yep. And there it is. It looks just like that PBR 24. And again, there's no need, if you have PBR 24, to go grab these 3 yellow pigments so that you can mix something that looks similar. But if you're wanting to play with some granulating yellows, these are 3 that you might not be thinking of. And at least these 2 here, like I've always think of PY, when I think of granulating yellow, I always think PY42, PY43. But I don't hardly ever think of PY53, nickel titanate yellow, and PY159, Schmincke's volcano yellow. I often forget because Schmincke super granulating colors are usually multi-pigment, and this one is not. So it's only one of 2 in the entire range of super granulating colors that is single pigment. Again, the other being volcano red, PR108. So there we have that. Look at they are very close. There's some subtle differences, but it's there. And I think if you even added just a touch of, say, the buff titanium, that might even get you a little bit closer to here. But look at that. Look at the granulation in that yellow. I'm loving this one. I love what it looks like in the, the spaces between the granulation. We're going to let this dry and have a final look at it, but that's one that I really like. And these are not quite dry, but there are the originals. See, it's very hard to see the granulation in that nickel titanate yellow because it's so pale, but it is there. The volcano yellow is definitely easier. And of course, look at the gorgeous PY42. This is the version that is Mars Yellow by Daniel Smith. I love this version. I wanted like a yellow ochre, but I saw this Mars Yellow swatched and I was like, nope, that's the one that's for me. I like that one. So there we have it. I'm going to go ahead and pause so that this will be dry and show you the final result before we go. I hope you're enjoying these Monday mixes. If you are, please do hit that like button and give the video a thumbs up. It definitely helps, and I appreciate it. So there we are, our granulating yellow. Look at the granulation in that one. It's beautiful. I love this mix. Is this one that you are going to give a try? Are you going to play around with some granulating yellows? Try them in other mixes. Mix them with some of your reds. Mix them with some of your blues. See what you get. Try mixing them with other granulating colors and then with colors that you know are not going to granulate, and see if you get that separation and settling of the other colors. I'm definitely going to play with these some more. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see these appear in other mixes, just because I've discovered a couple new granulating yellows that I really think I'm going to like. This one's definitely going to get a spot on my palette for sure. This one already has its own spot and has been on my palette for some time now, but I hope you've enjoyed this video. If there is a mix that you would like to see, do drop it in the comments. I read all of your comments, and perhaps you will pique my interest and you could see your comment in a mix video soon. I'm going to pop another video up right about here that you might like to watch next. And in the meantime, keep mixing, keep creating, and I will see you in a video real soon. Bye, guys.